right now on Indianapolis This Week, a new chapter in the history of Fishers.
I'm so excited for Fishers. I'm so excited to work with all of you to make this community better.
The town is becoming a city, and it's chosen a man who will likely become its first mayor. Today, we're sitting down with Scott Fadness. And from low voter turnout to district maps and another major ruling on same-sex marriage, our political insiders debate. Plus, on this Mother's Day, the spotlight on a very busy mom during the month of May. Former driver and team owner, Sarah Fisher.
From RTD6, the Indy channel, this is Indianapolis This Week with Rafael Sanchez.
From manager to possibly mayor, Scott Fadness, the Fishers town manager, beat out 5 opponents Tuesday night in the Republican primary with more than 46% of the vote. Barring a challenge from an independent candidate in November, he becomes Fishers' first mayor. Now, Fadness says working together with residents to create a clear sense of identity for Fishers is one of his top priorities. Another is putting the community on track for financial sustainability with a focus on commercial development. People living in Fishers voted 2 years ago to turn their town into a city. That transition will take place on January 1st, 2015. Joining us now is Scott Fadness, who has served as Fishers town manager since 2011. Welcome to the program. What are your priorities?
Number one is really engaging the community. Not very many residents came out to vote in this election, and so we've got to reach out to them, find out what's on their mind, and really figure out what the top priorities are here in our community.
Yeah, the voter turnout was pathetic really around central Indiana. How do you increase voter engagement?
I think we've got to get out where they're at, frankly. They're busy people, they're raising their families, they're working hard, and we just need to meet them, maybe at the kitchen counter if we have to, but we really want to engage the residents and find out what they aspire to see Fishers be.
Fishers is a growing town, will become a growing city. Are you going to have to look at tax increases? Will you have to annex other neighborhoods to sustain that growth?
I don't think it's so much a matter of the quantity of growth as it is about the type of growth. We need to refocus on commercial development versus residential development. In the past, it's always been about residential development in Fishers. Now we need to focus on growing jobs and growing businesses in our community.
And to that extent, that means you have to, at some point, maybe offer some sort of incentives. So are you ready to do that? Are you ready to attract those big corporations or those companies that you can tax to support your schools and your police departments and your fire departments?
Yeah, I think so. I think one of the great things about Fishers is we've been conservative over the years. We run an efficient government, so we're in a strong financial position, which would allow us to come to the table with some pretty good incentives to bring the types of companies that for the long term will put us on a strong financial track.
So give me an idea, what does Fishers of the future look like? Because as you know, your neighbor Carmel has the arts district. Kokomo to the north is doing their downtown. Indianapolis is the capital city. What will Fishers be known for?
Well, we're still trying to figure that out, but I will tell you that I think we're a smart, dynamic, ever-changing community. We're hardworking, and I hope that people think of Fishers as an entrepreneurial city where companies come to grow and innovate.
And so, but how will you spur that, though? Because obviously, as we've seen from many of the magazines around the country, Fishers is not only one of the fastest growing cities, but people want to live in your city, which is a good thing, right? That's already a given. People want to come to you, but when they come to you, what will they find?
Well, I think, like you said, people already want to live here, but now we want to make it a place where they want to work here and recreate here. We haven't had a balanced growth approach. We've spent too much time on the residential and not enough on creating a good business environment as well as a good residential environment. And so that's where we're really going to focus our time and attention.
So you tell folks, listen, we're better than Indianapolis, or we're better than Carmel. Come live here, come work here, come build here. What will that look like? Because at the end of the day, you're competing with the capital city, which is just a couple of miles away from you.
I don't think we're better. I think we're different. I think each community provides a different niche, if you will. I think Fishers is more Americana, more blue collar, if you will, and I think we're hardworking, and I think that is attractive to a certain sector of the business community.
Should you become mayor, if you have no opponents, is being town manager, will that help with that transition?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I run the day-to-day operations of the city, and I have a lot of experience when it comes to making sure the trains run on time, so to speak. So I think the fiscal components of it, the operational components of it, absolutely.
And of course, this is a Mother's Day weekend, so your wife and family members, any special message on this Mother's Day weekend?
Just a happy Mother's Day to both my mom and my wife, who is soon to be a mother herself in November.
Well, congratulations to Mrs. Fadness.
Thank you.
Good luck to you, sir. We'll continue to watch the campaign.
Appreciate it.
After the break, our political insiders take on the primary results across the state, plus another court ruling handed down this week involving same-sex marriage in Indiana. What impact that could have on the future of this political fight. Joining us now are two of our political insiders, Democrat Laura Beck and with IndyPolitics.org, Abdul Hakim Shabazz. And we're joined by RTV6 State House reporter Katie Hines. Let's jump into the topics of the morning. Indiana Congresswoman Susan Brooks has been appointed to the Select Committee on the Benghazi attack. House Speaker John Boehner named 6 Republicans on Friday. Democrats are calling this a political stunt. And lawmaker Brooks released a statement saying many questions about the events that took place before, during, and in the aftermath of the attack still exist. We have a duty to the families of the victims and the American people to unveil the whole truth of this tragic incident and seek appropriate accountability. Is this about politics or getting to the truth? Abdul?
Well, there's always a political element in this when one party is investigating the party in the White House and their different political parties. I do think the good thing about Susan Brooks being on the panel, though, is as a former U.S. attorney with background in Homeland Security and also prosecutor and defense attorney, I believe Susan will be likely one of the least political players in this entire process, which is get to the facts and let them just go where they may. I don't think there's much new going to come out of this, but with Susan Brooks on the panel, I feel a lot better about its integrity.
It's a total political witch hunt. I mean, it really is. I mean, Hillary Clinton appears to be one of the front runners for 2016. This is all about making her bruised and beating her down before any kind of primary start, and to raise questionable doubt about what was an outstanding tenure as Secretary of State. So completely political. I don't think we're going to learn anything new.
Switching topics, I know Fishers is in the process of turning from a town into a city. It looks like they do have their first mayor in Scott Fadness, who won the Republican primary earlier this week. There's no Democrat or independent challenger for the seat so far in November. What do you think? What can we see moving forward as this transition takes place with this new leader? Well,
and I'll do fairness. One of our fellow panelists, Jennifer Hollowell, kind of helped run Fadness' campaign, so kudos for scoring out a victory.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be an interesting. The good thing about Fadness is he was already town manager, so it's not like he's coming new to the game to oversee Fishers. Fishers' issue is going to be how do they manage their growth, because they've grown so fast, so quick, and like Scott mentioned earlier, making it a place to work in addition to just making it a bedroom community. Now, I think that's going to be an issue when you think of all the other things that cities face. Whether it's schools, infrastructure, money, property tax caps. That's going to be their challenge. How do they manage all that?
And Lara, there will be an identity issue. Will there not be? I mean, Indianapolis is right here. We're the capital city. Carmel is already ahead of the game with their art district. Kokomo is working on their downtown. For Fishers to find that niche is going to be a challenge.
It will be a challenge. I mean, I think Fishers has attracted a lot of different people, and it has grown exponentially. I mean, I was laughing in the green room with Abdul before we watched. I think I go to Fishers about maybe 4 times a year. I mean, I live in a very urban environment, kind of the antithesis of Fishers. But I do agree with you. It is going to be hard to carve out what that identity is, which is not Carmel. And to date, that's what a lot of people on election night, you could really see in those tweets. They don't want to be Carmel, but then what do they want to be? So, I think he seems like a sharp guy. He, as Abdul said, he's got the experience. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see.
One of the interesting things from primary night was turnout. Taking a look at the numbers, here in Marion County, less than 8%. In Hamilton County, 12%. When you looked specifically at the town of Fishers, 15%. How did the people who came to the polls, or the people who cast a ballot, whether at the polls or absentee, play a factor in who won?
Yes, and I disagree with the theory that more voter participation is necessarily a good thing. Bigger does not automatically equal better. I'll take 8, 9, 12% of the population that shows up, that cares, that comes out and casts a ballot, than 70 or 80% that has no clue and is just showing up and pushing a button.
You're such a good elitist.
Why, thank you.
You're so
I do
good
try.
at this. You're so nice.
Martinis after the program.
So good at this. Yeah, no kidding. But I think the thing about the low turnout is that I feel sort of like bored talking about the primary, because it was such a boring primary for people, and I think
feel sad that people did not vote.
Well, it is sad that people don't vote, but there wasn't a big race to pull people out, and a lot of times those big races, such as the 2008 Democrat presidential primary, will pull people out. Who can forget the Murdoch and Senator Lugar primary? What I do think my big takeaway from this is that you had the party organizations in Marion County. So you had county chair on the Democrat side, Joel Miller. You had county chair on the Republican side, Kyle Walker. All of the candidates that they endorsed at their party conventions that went through that party process all won. And I think that definitely speaks to the strength of their party organizations. I think we will see that continue to grow, particularly as we move into the fall.
And to piggyback on that, the moral of the story is that organization matters.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw some incumbents in other parts of the state lose, in part because of that low turnout, that the people who had an axe to grind, they were organized, they came out and put in new people.
I think the people who won, I mean, they really, really worked it. And I think think we see with a lot of even some of the incumbents that held on, such as a Jim Merritt, for example. He had, I think, a pretty relatively easy fight against his primary challenger, but he said he wasn't going to take anything for granted. And on election night, he tweeted out that, I don't know how many countless doors he knocked on, notes he wrote, but that really makes the difference in a low election year.
So let's talk about the future of the city county council here in Indianapolis. A big decision from the Indiana State Supreme Court this week as it sides with Mayor Ballard to allow maps drawn by council Republicans to stand. The court says a trial court got it wrong when a Marion County judge's maps replaced the one drawn by council Republicans. Does this mean the end of the Democratic dominance in the future of the City County Council of Indianapolis?
Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. I think that our county is continuing to trend Democrat. I think that while of course we're disappointed. We're disappointed, but I will say this: we'll win on the maps we have. And so
can I challenge
I think
you?
We'll be fine. You can challenge me.
You say that with such conviction, but this is the same city that keeps voting for a Republican mayor for the second time, and the only city of the top 20 with a Republican mayor.
Well, but don't forget, Hoosiers like a sense of checks and balances, and they like having that Democrat council in there to check and balance the mayor. That's how it works in Indianapolis. We have checks and balances. We don't have supermajorities. So I think the Democrats are going to be just fine. And I know Abdul will completely 100% disagree with me. He is so ready to start.
It is so rare that twice in 1 week I get to say, I told you so. But guess what? When we were starting all this way back last year, I was like, on the mayor's maps, you may not like how they did them. You may not like how they,
they snuck them in under the cover of darkness.
No, they did it in broad daylight.
2 hours
It was 10
less.
o'clock. It was 10 o'clock in the morning.
It is Mother's Day, so a little kindness would help.
Yes, please.
Yeah, it was a move that a political mother would love. 10 o'clock in the morning is when they signed the maps. They were always legitimate, and actually the maps are very competitive. Republicans do not have an advantage. If you do a breakdown, it's 10 Republican, 10 Democrat, 5 competitive.
So who do you give the edge to? So who do you give an edge to the Republicans?
It's an edge to the Democrats.
Actually, I would give the edge to whichever party can find the better candidates, because at that level, you're really going to need good quality candidates to go door to door. And if the Democrats are smart, they'll ditch people like Monroe Gray and go for people like John Barth, who's a much smarter guy.
Next issue, Katie, go.
Help yourself.
Next issue, new development in the legal battle of same-sex marriage here in Indiana. A federal judge extending an order requiring the state to recognize a same-sex marriage as one of the women is dying of cancer. And the state says it plans to appeal that decision. Does this set a precedent, or how will this affect this issue moving forward?
A couple of things. First of all, I think it's interesting that the day after the primary, when a couple northern Eastern Indiana lawmakers lost because the social groups were claiming the marriage issue, that a federal judge the next day, for the first time, recognizes a same-sex couple in Indiana, although be it in a very limited capacity. But I do think
just that couple.
But I do think this opens a door, because it's unfortunate that somebody has been in a position that they're dying, that their relationship is legally recognized by the state. But what's the difference between this couple and the thousands of other same-sex couples in the state of Indiana?
She's going to tell you.
Well, I think what really strikes me about this story is how the human element of the story, and how truly sad it is that while you are dying, you can't say goodbye to your loved ones and prepare for your children's future. But you have to be fighting to have your marriage recognized because of who you love. And I think that gets to the core of this HJR3 and this discrimination against people who are LGBT. And particularly as we're talking about this on Mother's Day, for example, these are 2 mothers, and they're just trying to provide for how they want their kids to move forward. And so to me, that's just so sad. And I really feel for this couple. And I completely do agree with you that it's very ironic that
it happened the day after
absolutely.
the pro-HJR3 were claiming victory.
So my heart goes out to this family. It really does. They shouldn't have to be doing this.
As the final question, of course, the final push is on to try to bring that Super Bowl back to Indianapolis in 2018. We've learned that Colts owner Jim Irsay will make the final pitch at the owners' meeting in Atlanta. Irsay has been undergoing treatment since March and out of the public eye. Each city vying to host the Super Bowl will give presentations. The other 2 cities in the fight are Minneapolis and New Orleans. Will we get the Super Bowl?
Well, and then one
Magic ball time.
Well, one thing Jim Irsay can say, hey, look, I'm not Sterling, so come on, you got to give us something to work with here.
Yeah, well, thanks for letting me follow that. I don't know. I think it's going to be really competitive. I mean, we have all of the things in place we have to have a Super Bowl, and we will continue to do that. I think we can do big events better than anybody else in the country. But again, Jim Irsay's situation notwithstanding, there's going to be other challenges, and it's also time for our community to talk about other priorities priorities other than a Super Bowl too.
And
so
you know, Abdul,
opens that up.
Mr. Sterling is basketball, right? You know the difference? One goes in the hoop, one has to be thrown.
Yeah, but he can say, hey, at least it didn't embarrass you like he did. So, hey, help a guy out. No, but seriously.
Something nice to your mother today. Mother's Day, come on. Any Mother's Day messages today? I'm not positive.
My mother is the most patient woman that has ever walked on the face of this planet, because not only she raised my other 11 brothers and sisters, she also had to put up with me.
I agree with that. How about you on Mother's Day? Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day to your wife and your mother, too.
Thank you. The conversation between our insiders continues on Twitter. Check out their Twitter handles and give us your opinion and stay up to date with Kip, Abdul, Laura, and Jennifer throughout the week. And thank you, Katie Hines, for joining us. After the break, one mother in central Indiana hasn't had much time to celebrate this weekend. She's been busy operating her racing team. A sit-down with Sarah Fisher with Indianapolis This Week continues. We can't say it enough. Happy Mother's Day. We spoke to one prominent mom who this month will have two drivers race in the Indianapolis 500. Sarah Fisher is in the Sunday spotlight. You are back home. The month of May is big. How's it going?
It's going really well. I'm actually very excited because, you know, the month of May when I was racing is like almost a full month, right? And so with the Grand Prix of Indy and all the inaugural events here, it really makes it a full month of May. So it's a little something extra special for our fans.
You have broken so many ceilings as a driver, now as an owner. When can we see more women in the sport?
You know, when I started in the IndyCar series and sort of now and those years, it's given girls some time to think about how they can be involved in racing. And so we're starting to see, you know, a little bit more women, a little bit more. And I think it's just a matter of age and timing and when the opportunity rolls out for each individual.
On this Mother's Day, what message do you have for those young girls and those moms who do fill the stands and say, there she is, I want my daughter to be like her. You're a role model.
Well, you know, for those mothers and for the daughters especially out there, you know, I really appreciated my mom for everything that she did to support my career. And I'm closer to her now, even more than any other time because I'm a mom now, and can really appreciate what she did to support, you know, my abilities and the things that took behind the scenes to get here to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
How do you balance everything? Because you have not stopped. You will not stop until baby number 2 comes along the way. You're here. You're working it.
Well, in racing,
and you're awake,
yeah.
and you're up, and you're bright.
Yeah, it's you know, racing's very much a lifestyle. So, you know, I'm very lucky because I'm one of those individuals that gets to bring my family to the track. So, my daughter Zoe will be here on Mother's Day. My mom will be here on Mother's Day, and I think it'll just be a special day in general because racing is such a big part of our life that we get to share that with our family.
Yeah, and we never know what our kids are going to be, right? And so, as a parent, I want my child to be happy, but could you ever imagine your child behind one of these vehicles? And I mean, is that something that you'd like maybe one day as a grandma to see a woman take that flag at the Indy 500?
Well, you know, for my kids to be in racing, they got to really love it. You know, I don't want them to be here just because I did it and because their dad was involved and because their family's here. I want them to be a part of racing because they really, truly want to be here. It's such a roller coaster career that, you know, you won't be successful unless you truly love it. So we'll see. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. Maybe my daughter will be a ballerina and I'll have to figure out how to do that, which I'll be in left field for a while, but I'll figure it out to make her successful.
I'm very confident that if she's a ballerina, you will be a great dance mom.
I'm not good at dance, I'll tell you that now. Yeah, no, it's been an incredible opportunity to have my family here at the Speedway with me and to race with me. And, you know, it's being pregnant and being 8 months on the grid and working. It's part of my lifestyle. It's what I really love to do, and my family adapts to it to make it worthwhile.
And final question. This is a iconic place. What is it about? I mean, I know you have to be here because you have 2 guys racing, but what is it about this place that makes it so special?
Well, I think really it hits home, you know, when you're out there on race day and you see the impact of this race and how it affects tens of hundreds of thousands of people. You know, it's more than just the people that are here even. It's about the families, you know, the guys over the wall, the drivers' families, the fans, the sponsors' families. It affects so many people that the size and scale of this event is just so important to the history of our country and even the world of sports.
And we're going to miss Jim Neighbors.
Yes. very much so.
Because no one else can sing that song. I mean, I'm sure someone else will sing that song just as well at some point, but he's been an institution at this place.
You know, it's been really nice the past couple years because I've been able to enjoy the pre-race ceremonies. As a driver, I never really focused on that, to be completely honest. I was so focused into what I was doing, and you know, I got to enjoy the fans saying hi, you know, on driver introductions. But as far as you know, enjoying all of the other things, I think it's been nice to be an owner and see how special that truly is.
Sarah Fisher, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Sarah Fisher. Indianapolis This Week continues after the break. It is the month of May, and remember, RTV6 is your home for race coverage. We wrapped up the inaugural Grand Prix of Indianapolis, and now all the focus turning towards the Indianapolis 500. Our Trackside 6 coverage will continue throughout the week, and a Trackside 6 special featuring Dave First and Brad Brown. That special will air on Thursday night starting at 7:30 right after RTV6 News at 7. Remember, RTV6 is the only place to see the race. That's it for this edition of Indianapolis This Week. I'm Rafael Sanchez. We'd like to wish all the mothers out there a very happy Mother's Day. Make it a great day. We'll see you next week.